Hello, good evening, and welcome back. So, as the UK do actually reach their target of over 100,000 tests a day, Elon Musk continues with what I can only call a sort of midlife crisis by wiping out $14 billion worth of his Tesla's value, including a few billion for himself, in another tweet. So, first, good news, of course. We've got over 100,000 tests for the day. It was, of course, an ambitious target, and the BBC have been saying that, it's not going to happen, and I did share that cynicism, to be truthfully honest, to say, well, that does seem a bit odd. I mean, to begin with, they wanted 250,000, then they said, well, okay, it's going to be 100,000, but the uptake seemed to be particularly slow. But, having said that, they did actually manage by quite a margin with 122,000, which is fantastic, because if we look back to how they've done it over the month, of course we can see it's pretty steady, so it seems like it wasn't going to happen. Then it's increased exponentially recently until the 1st of May, and they did actually manage it. So, jolly well done. Definite praise deserved there. Of course, how's this been taken? Well, not well, because if the Conservatives are actually able to do something successfully, then of course they have to be taken down. So what could their possible problems, objections be to this? If they're trying to say that coronavirus is so bad and therefore everybody needs to be tested, and we need to be tested every couple of weeks in order to know if we have it, and then if it's safe to go back to work, because apparently it's so fatal and so infectious that we all have to make sure we know what's happening all the time, and that's why we should download social distancing apps, and why Apple's Health, its latest update, also includes the basically a COVID-19 tracker, if you will. So do have a look in your phone settings if you have that, and you might want to disable it to not share your location. You might. But their objection to this is saying, oh, well, that's because there are deliveries. It's like, no way. Well, of course there are deliveries. That's kind of the idea. If people are self-isolating, how are they going to get tested if they're not allowed out of the house? It's going to have to be a home delivery. So that's actually vitally important. So they say the 27,497 kits were delivered to people's homes. And also 12,872 tests that were sent out to centres such as hospitals and NHS sites. However, these may not have been actually used or sent back to a lab. So, well, yes, of course, if you send it out, they're not forcing people to take them. But if they're permitted to and they show enough interest in order to want one, then fair enough. Job's a good one. But they're trying to suggest, with Labour Shadow Health Secretary Jonathan Ashworth, saying that this isn't time for quibbling, but actually, I'm not racist, but 39,000 of these tests have simply been posted out, so it's not quite that the government have hit their commitment. I don't think posting out the test is the same as carrying out tests, but nonetheless, it is welcome that testing has increased. Well, yes, posting out tests is the same as carrying out tests, because what happens when they're posted? They then get carried out. And they're saying that, well, yeah, but if you're posting them out, then you're not getting the results straight away, in which case it doesn't quite count. It's like, okay, but if you're posting them out, surely if you keep that, posting them out every day, so 39,000, depending on who you're posting them to, if we say you're going to be posting out 40, 50,000 every day, when they come in, surely that's going to be keeping up with however many you sent out, and that is the idea. And then some people have to be tested twice because the result is inconclusive, so does it really count? And so, well, as Professor John Newton said, that the scientist advising the government on testing, there had been no change to the way tests are counted. It's the same. Of course it's the same. They're keeping it the same. They're saying, this is what we're going to try and hit. This is how we count it. Therefore, when we get to the end of April or the 1st of May, you can hold us accountable because these are the exact parameters. We got here, and they did exactly what they said they would do. Fair enough. If you wish to change the rules after the fact, we don't care. So the analysis basically just says the same. They're concerned, some of them will never be returned. So, okay, you think 22,000? I think it's going to be a bit better than that. So yeah, well done, and the BBC can fuck off. So Elon Musk, what's he done this time? It's tweeting, and Twitter seems to be the downfall of us all. So Elon Musk wiped $14 billion off the car maker's value after tweeting his share price was too high. It also knocked $3 billion off Mr. Musk's own stake in Tesla, as investors promptly bailed out of the company. So his tweet was, Tesla stock price too high in my opinion. And that's it. Included a vow to sell his own possessions, which basically seems to be on the back of people painting him out as an evil guy and a super villain, and trying to suggest, oh, you're saying that automation is going to ruin people's lives, that the coronavirus is affecting people's businesses, but you're so high and mighty and you have so much money that it's not going to affect you. So you're basically just lying and coming from a point of privilege, as a white guy from South Africa. But to which his response is then, well, no, that's not what this is about at all. Like the legacy of a good entrepreneur is that they can provide so much value to other people. In a capitalist society, the only way you can generate wealth for yourself is if you can give a valuable proposition to somebody else, and therefore they will willingly give you their money for the product that you have on offer. So the only way you can make money in a capitalist society is by giving loads of people loads of value. That is the only way you can do it, because you cannot do force. It all has to be happy people, and therefore you need to make so many people happy and very happy in order to generate a lot of wealth. So that's what he's done, as have other successful entrepreneurs. And the result of that is, oh, rich man must be bad. So, no, you're missing the point completely. But nonetheless, that's where they wish to tie things in. So he's saying, well, no, again, it's not about the money, it's not about the material possessions. It is actually something that is on my mind. And if you look at his interview with Joe Rogan, then you'll see that it is particularly about automation. That is something that concerns him. And he thinks that it might be too late because, of course, the main countries competing would be America and China, and neither of them want to be the one to drop out first. Otherwise, they're going to lose the market share, or also whatever would follow on from that. So they need to be the leading country, and they're not going to stop before the other one does. So they're not going to stop, in which case automation is definitely going to happen. And he's concerned that with this technological revolution, just like the agricultural and the industrial and several different new technologies, that this one is going to be the one where we don't have enough jobs, basically. That we're not going to be able to keep up with technology as humans, and therefore we're going to be very unemployed, just like we are now, basically. But hopefully then there can still be enough value given by the AI, in which case Elon Musk is also a fan of UBI, Universal Basic Income, as Andrew Yang mentioned. So, of course, this isn't the first time that Musk has done this. Before, in December last year, so a few months back, he commented on the share prices being $420. Yep, saying that the stock prices are a bit high. Lol. It's because they were $420. They were $420. And earlier than that, he joked about going private, saying when they hit $420, we'll go private. The finance confirmed, or funding confirmed, which got him fined $20 million. And they do slightly reference this here. And of course, when he was with Joe Rogan on his podcast and tried the marijuana, then it also took a hit on his stocks. So yeah, Elon Musk is not afraid of controversy. Last year on April Fool's, of course, he posted the song R.I.P. Harambe as well. So he has fun. He's sold flamethrowers as well. He doesn't really seem to care. He's basically just happy-go-lucky. Just do what you can to bring joy to other people's lives and let people get on with what they want to do. He's much more of a libertarian and allowing people to do things if they're not directly harming somebody else. So with that in mind, he's also posted, I'm selling almost all physical possessions, will own no house. With the stipulation, because it's Gene Wilder's house, he doesn't want it to be destroyed or change the spirit of it. And also him saying that his girlfriend is mad at him. I'm looking forward to Count Dankula doing a Mad Lads episode on Elon Musk. He has gone through quite a bit, and also is one of the mob, the PayPal mafia. Those guys. There's a Business Players episode on it if you're interested. But yes, the Securities and Exchange Commission were not happy about basically anything that he's done, including here, because it's dropped by about 12%. And so when he said before about when they got to 420, he'd go private. That, although evidently a joke, still fined $20 million, had to step down as chairman, and a federal judge said Tesla and Musk must face a lawsuit by shareholders over the going private tweet, including a claim that Mr. Musk intended to defraud them. So yeah, jokes have real-world consequences. So I think at this point, seeing as he is worth so much, depending on whether or not you account for the debt and what his liabilities to assets are, that he knows what he's doing. or he's happy with what he's doing. He's lived quite a amazing life and been around and accomplished things and has those experiences that I think at this point it could be getting to him, as he definitely came across in Joe Rogan's podcast, that he seemed a bit not quite anxious or depressed, but very much down and concerned. And it seems like, although he's incredibly successful, maybe it's more that he is lonely and not really able to have somebody proper to talk to about things, especially if you can see things from such a high level, because he's a very intelligent chap. Then trying to converse with somebody about these things, it can be very difficult and tedious if the answer seems straightforward, but then like emotions get in the way. I can understand why he would find an annoyance with that. But hey, what do I know? So that's what we're seeing. The Conservatives have done well. They've reached the 100,000 target, and Elon Musk is running rings around people again, just basically being sick of people trying to give him a bad name, and him showing that he's actually a more virtuous person. So until next time, have a good one.